I started my career as a developer, just like Jack and Vicky, and then I figured out I wasn't particularly great at technology, so I decided to move to management and tell people what to do. We're gonna cover more of this today. Jack, can you go next slide, please? Great, so let's start with a bit of a smile. Next slide, and there is a short video. Great, thank you, Jeff. Next slide, please. Good. So, what does a project manager do, or at least what do people think that we do? So, in a nutshell, a project manager is someone that thinks that 9 women can deliver a baby in 1 month. That's not really far away from the truth in terms of how people perceive us and what we ask people to do. Common misconceptions: we boss people around. We also strive to make their life difficult in terms of bossing people around, asking them what to do. Can they please do it? What's coming on next? Is it done yet? It's another common question that we ask all the time. We arrange meetings to fill in people's calendar with human interaction to brighten their day, as you've probably gathered from Jack and Vicky. Most of their work is in front of the computer, and we disturb their nice little world by asking them to communicate with other people. Press for unrealistic deliverables. Obviously, you have a deadline, have a client, you have a team, certain conversations you need to have. And we're also really good at forwarding emails. Right? Whenever someone from the teams asks us something, and we can just forward it to the client and vice versa. And we use Excel to keep track of things and work, and we love lists and organizing things in general. Next slide, Jack. So what is actually a project manager? So it's an organizational leader dedicated to the imposition of order upon chaos, even if chaos is pretty happy with the status quo. Or another definition is a professional herder of wet cats. Next one, please. Now, on a more serious note, what do we actually do? So part of our job is organize and coach the team. So you grab a bunch of random people onto a project, and it takes time and effort to make them work as a unified unit. So you have the few stages of team formation, storming, norming, forming, performing. And I think I've put this in the wrong order, but basically there's a number of stages that you need to go through to hit the performing stage. And a big part of our job is to coach the team, make sure that everyone's working together nicely, set the right boundaries, roles and responsibilities, what people are working on, what people are responsible for, set the right quality standards, and how things will manage. Figure out what next steps have to be done and in what order. So project manager, that's a bit of a planning in there as well. So not only you have a bunch of random people that got together, but that's usually coupled with a client that's not quite sure what they want, but they're pretty sure when they want it. So part of the job is getting that information from people's heads, working together as one, and planning what needs to be done in what order and what are the time frames. Once we have a plan, then we have to make sure that work is done in a timely manner and remove any impediments. So this could include anything from people not having access to different systems, things turning out to be more complex than they are. That obviously affects the timelines. And as part of your job is to remove any difficulties for the team. Big part of the job is also to have uncomfortable conversations that includes both the client and the team. So, for example, if something is taking longer than expected, it could be, well, there usually is a good reason for that. However, you still need to tell the client that their project is going to be late by, let's say, a month, and for argument's sake, let's say $250,000. Right? So it's a big message to swallow. Right? Big part of the job is how do you relate those interesting and uncomfortable conversations? How do you explain this to the client without getting shouted at? And it also includes working with the team. So, for example, there is a new deadline. If you're working for a bank, there could be a regulatory change coming in place. That means that instead of having 2 months, you now have 1 month. Right? So you need to work with the team, have interesting conversations with them. What can be done? The initial reaction is nothing. We still need 2 months. If you go back to the example of 9 women, 1 month, a baby, that kind of conversations. Also there is a bit of dealing with personalities. Different people have different personalities. How does that work together? How do you organize them in terms of getting the information out of their head, making sure that they work together, making sure that people are comfortable giving you estimates. And a big part of working in IT is you work with uncertainty, the big complicated system that integrates into, for example, other external systems. There is a lot of dependencies. So you have to deal with different personalities. You have to track the dependencies. And you have to be mindful of people's circumstances, especially now with COVID. You have people working from home, dealing with childcare, dealing with different kind of personal and work issues, and majority of that comes down to you. We also manage. Oh no, too quick. Go back, please. There you go. We also manage budget, resources, and expenses. Everything comes with a certain cost, so it's fun of tracking. You don't need great mathematical skills. It's very simple and basic in terms of tracking. You have your expenditure per month, and expenditure, for example, for laptops, hardware, servers, which is a one-off cost, and you just add them all together. It's pretty much adding the numbers rather than doing any active tracking as such. Feeling uncomfortable. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of conversations to the client in terms of things being late, why they're being late, and there's also a lot of conversations with the team, why the timelines have changed and what can we do about it. So a big chunk of that is feeling comfortable, at least in my case. On the plus side, you do get used to it after some time. And pretty much sometimes feels like a little doggy, but it's also quite rewarding. And I mean, I wouldn't be doing it. I've been doing this for about more than 10 years now. So even though it feels like being the doggy, it's actually quite a rewarding thing. Jack, next one, please. Thank you. So what do we do? So one of the plus sides is, as we Jack and Vicky, we get to work on a variety of projects, and a lot of them make real change. So two of the projects that we're currently working on is cervical cancer screening process. And basically what this project is about is it checks who needs cervical cancer, it monitors and tracks the test results, and it makes sure that the whole process is coherent, so no one's missed. The tests are sent to the labs, received from the labs, has certain checks throughout the process. And what's really fascinating about it is that it does actually help save lives, prompt people to get tested, make sure that the process doesn't fail, and get people diagnosed early and save lives. Another project that we're working on was Highways England. So on that one, they have data in a variety of places. So what we worked on is getting all that data into a single place. So It's easier to analyze the data. It's easier to look at it. And what this resulted is, for example, you've noticed on the highway you're driving, you have the smart motorways or a changing speeds. Well, you don't drive yet, but you know the motorway. You have the changing speed signs. So by analyzing the data, we can predict and change the speed limits more accurately, which in effect makes the journey safer. It's also providing information to the maintenance teams, so they know when it's not so busy on a certain road. They can go and do the maintenance, which makes their job a lot more safer. So we are working on some projects that make real difference. Next one, Jeff. I think this is pretty much the end of the presentation. This is my pet hamster, Rufus, which was an integral part of making this presentation. And on this particular picture, it's enjoying a well-deserved popcorn.